Welcome, I'm Andy. This is Daily Spins, a series where I try to listen to every single record that I own. For context, that's roughly 1,500 records that I have with me in the house right now. And when I listen to these, I'm not on my phone or computer. This is no screens, active listening, just enjoying the music that I have. There's some albums in my collection that I'm sure I haven't listened to in years. And I just want to rediscover the things in this music that I already have without feeling the need to always get new stuff. I didn't know where to begin. I spent the morning drinking my coffee, kind of thinking about where should I start. I made up my mind that I was going to try to do this. I wanted a way to unwind at the end of the evenings and just kind of unplug from everything that's going on. And then an album showed up. I forgot I ordered it, but it showed up and it was the perfect starting place. So that's where I'm going to start. And right here with Pet Sounds. This particular copy came from Acoustic Sounds, so they're a little bit slower, but they're a smaller shop, and I can't recommend getting vinyl from them enough. Just really wonderful folks over there, and great quality stuff. So this is the Analog Productions 45 RPM mono version. Really nice copy. I love the Analog Production stuff. Really thick cardboard, great high gloss finish. Because this is a 2LP, it has a gatefold. Obviously, the original Pet Sounds didn't have the gatefold, but I really do love it. Classic back of the album. I love the Pet Sounds font. Just a great album. For this version in particular, I do have the stereo versions of this from Analog Productions, and I think, at least in my ears, is the best sounding copy of Pet Sounds out there. I hadn't heard their mono version though, and because it's my favorite album, I splurged and got it. And I really wasn't let down by this. I still prefer the stereo, but the bass in particular stands out on the mono mix. And you know, that's generally Brian used at least two basses on each track. There was a stand-up and then a Fender Electric, which was played by Carol Kay of the Wrecking Crew. Phenomenal. And yeah, this copy did not let me down in the slightest. Pet Sounds though, I'm so familiar with it. I listen to this thing once a week minimum for the last probably 15 years easily. So starting out with something very familiar, if I was going to give a number rating, this would be the only 10 out of 10. That would be my high bar, just because it's my favorite album. But I don't really want this to turn into reviewing albums. I think there's something in every album for somebody. And I don't want to discourage anyone from listening or trying out something new. Next up is this Am I Really Here All Alone by Philip Lewen. Now I saved the little sticky note on this. It says it's a 2017 reissue remaster. I picked this up at Light in the Attic, their record store in downtown Seattle, in the Seattle Center. So it's in the KEXP building, a really cool spot to hang out. You can get a cup of coffee. You can go to the Light in the Attic record store, which is more or less like a booth in this big open space. And then you can watch what's happening in KEXP. So the DJs doing their sets or the live music. You can see their huge collection of music as well. So it's, yeah, really wonderful space. And this was an impulse buy. I have never heard this album before, but it looked intriguing. So I picked it up, and honestly, I don't remember the last time I played it. So this was like hearing it for the first time, and I was blown away. This thing is great. The first thing that stands out is that each song tended to have just some hook that would get caught in my head. I woke up this morning, so I listened last night. I woke up this morning and was humming along to tracks I had heard the night before, and at least 5 or 6 of these I remembered, which is rare for the first time I listen to any piece of music. I'm kind of just getting a feel for the first listen. A lot of times I'll listen to something 2 or 3 times because I try not to make judgments right away and just really want to familiarize myself with whatever I'm listening to. So it's unusual for a song to be that catchy to me. The production is interesting. There's a lot of vocal doubling, but it's done in a way that it doesn't seem like these were done in 1975, which is when all the songs were copywritten. Watercolors was a standout track. Touch as well, had some amazing piano on Touch, which, by the way, I'll start a playlist on Spotify with 1 or 2 tracks from all the albums I listened to in order and just put it down in the description or something. I guess that's how people do it. And yeah, so you can follow along, or if there's a band that you're interested in listening to, you can quickly check them out if it's on streaming platform. But yeah, great album. Really happy I listened to it. This will be on my turntable for sure during the day over the next month or so. When I'm just casually listening. I'm always listening to records throughout the day. I listen to, probably put on 10, 15 every day, but I'm trying to take time to specifically just listen for these. Next up is going to start a trend that kind of lasted the rest of the night. This is the Michael Yonkers band, Micro Miniature Love. 60s Psych. A huge fan of 60s Psych. I love this stuff. It's just strange and unpredictable. This one in particular is very guitar driven. If you're a fan of modern stoner rock stuff, this one will probably land with you. Really cool riffs. The singing isn't the high point on the album. It's not distracting like some, but the guitar riffs are really where this thing shines. Micro Miniature Love, Boy in a Sandbox, both great. Side A is killer on this thing. Side B is a little bit more forgettable. It's not bad, but overall, I mean, this, I'd probably say a 7 out of 10. Really fun album. I have listened to it in the recent past, so it is one I like to put on just because the riffs are so great for the time. Next up, I went to Rainbow's Folly, Sally's Fourth. So this was fun. Again, this is something that I've probably listened to fairly recently, but I hadn't ever really taken the time to look at the included insert, which is really got some nice information on it. And it actually, I learned a good deal about the record. It does sound kind of like a demo, not in terms of sound quality, but just the way the album flows and some of the arrangements. It is very experimental, and it's hard not to think it could have been polished up a little bit more. But that's basically what the insert talked about, is that this was submitted to EMI and they just put it out like that. Nobody's really sure why it was put out without any extra work done on it, but still a great album. I love 60s Psych artwork. How beautiful that is. Great glossy cover on this version. Nice black and white drawings on the back. Yeah, really wonderful album. If you see it, it's definitely worth picking up. This was actually one of the first 60s Psych albums that I remember looking for specifically. And to wrap the night up, I stayed in the 60s Psych realm. This is Wake Up, It's Tomorrow by the Strawberry Alarm Clock. I love the Strawberry Alarm Clock. Normally I'm reaching for their first album, which I have somewhere over here. So normally, I think probably just out of habit, I reach for Incense and Peppermints, which is their first album. And yeah, it's great. It's jangle pop, psych, catchy stuff. I mean, if you've ever heard just a song by them, it's almost certainly Incense and Peppermints. So Wake Up It's Tomorrow is a little bit different. It cuts a little bit deeper. It's a little bit stranger. Songs like Curse of the Witches, really a high point. It's not the easiest to digest, but it's properly weird, and it's amazing. Nightmare of Percussion, the opening track also. It's just killer. It's so much fun. This is another one where I think side 1 is a little better than side 2. Side 2 kind of has a couple slow points, but if I had to pick one between this and Incense and Peppermints, I think this is a stronger album altogether. And this is an original copy that I have on the Uni label. I always loved the way the Uni label looked. So yeah, that was my first listening night. It was fun. I'm learning kind of how this might go as I go. To keep track, if anybody's wondering, I'm writing little sticky notes with, love this song, or just standout moments, notes after I listen, and I'm sticking them on the back. So if it has a sticky note on the sleeve, I'm not putting it on the album itself, just in the sleeve somewhere, I'll know. And yeah, it's going to be interesting to see how it plays out. Once I got into the groove of like the 60s psych stuff, I didn't really want to switch it up. I was thinking I might go to some jazz earlier in the night, but that kind of just fell by the wayside as I really got in the groove of just going with the 60s psych. So I'm curious how other nights will go, if they'll kind of just follow whatever I listen to first, or if it's just eclectic and all over the place. It's hard to tell. I'm trying not to force anything on it. I'm not trying to make just cool records or anything. You'll see all of my records at some point, many of which some people might be embarrassed by, but I'm embarrassed by none of it. I just love music. When we pull out the Britney Spears records at some point, I'm going to enjoy listening to them still. So yeah, thanks for checking it out. I'll be doing another session tonight, and I'll see you next time.